Welcome to our auxiliary sessions for 40 days to PMP exam success. We've been combing through the domains by people, process, and business, and today we are still in the process realm and we're taking a look at task 3, assess and manage risk. The goal of this series is to address what is on the exam piecemeal. So let's jump into this. Question 17, a project is in its execution phase when a previously unidentified risk emerges. A critical third-party software component essential for the project's core functionality announces it will cease support within 6 months, much earlier than anticipated. This poses a significant threat to project viability. What is the project manager's immediate priority in assessing and managing this new risk? Is it A, initiate a formal written project change request to extend the project timeline to allow for the development of an in-house alternative to the third-party component? Is it B, conduct an urgent risk analysis to determine the probability, impact, and time frame of the component's obsolescence and identify potential alternative solutions or workarounds? Or is it C, inform the project sponsor, customers, and key stakeholders about the critical new risk and its potential impact on project success, seeking their immediate strategic guidance to manage the risk? Or is it D, initiate the formal dispute resolution process as outlined in the procurement contract to protect the project's interests and financial position immediately? I'll give you some time to think about the answer. Okay, so I believe that is enough time. As you know, 1 minute 15 seconds is the standard time for questions on the exam if you're actually going to finish the test. So hit the pause button if you need more time, but let's jump into the options. I'm going to start from the bottom today, going up. So let's talk about option D. Initiate the formal dispute resolution process as outlined in the procurement contract to protect the project's interest and financial position immediately. Now, while this isn't a bad idea, the question is asking you, what is the project manager's immediate priority in assessing and managing this new risk? Over here, you're not really assessing anything. You're just immediately jumping at a solution and you're thinking dispute resolution. Maybe we can force them into delaying their season support. And that's not the best answer in this case because you have not assessed your options. You're jumping straight into ADR, alternative dispute resolution, or something similar. So I wouldn't choose D. I would go to the next one up and see if this works. Option C, inform the project sponsor, customers, and key stakeholders about the critical new risk and its potential impact on project success, seeking their immediate strategic guidance to manage the risk. Now, while this sounds considerate, this is a mother may I situation where you are not really doing your job, you're looking to other people to do your job, right? Because it said seek their immediate strategic guidance to manage the risk. Now, while it's not a bad idea to bring them in, it's premature because all you've done is identified the risk, but you have to, as the question is asking, assess and manage the new risk. So I wouldn't choose option C. Let's go to option B. Conduct an urgent risk analysis to determine the probability, impact, and time frame of the component's obsolescence and identify potential alternative solutions or workarounds. Now, while this sounds like a good option, what jumps out at me is it's saying determine the probability. But if I read the question, it seems as though the word will helps me know this is highly probable. And then the impact, while I haven't quantified it, it does say a significant threat, not only to one piece, but project viability. So to some degree, it seems like some of the things being suggested have been done, at least at a high level, because it was previously unidentified. So I can infer that we have a high level understanding of the risk, but not the detail. And then it says identify potential alternative solutions or workarounds. Then that's not a bad thing to do. You should look at all your potential solutions instead of just jumping out at one like the other option here was stating about dispute resolution. So I'm going to hold on to B. It's not a bad idea. It does seem like some stuff has been done, but not as detailed in terms of what they're asking. They're asking assessing and managing the new risk. So to assess, we definitely have to do probability, impact assessment, and the time frame. The time frame of the projects, the components, obsolescence is important. So we've got an idea that they'll cease support, but it's not 100% certain from what I'm reading here. And identifying potential alternative solutions needs to be done as well. Let's take a look at A. Initiate a formal written project change request to extend the project's timeline to allow for the development of an in-house alternative. Everything is possible in IT, right? But in option A, sounds like we're jumping straight out at a solution without any consideration of other potential solutions. So it's a very prescriptive answer that says just do something in-house. When I read this, it says a critical third-party software component. Like in the beginning, that probably was considered, but even if it wasn't considered, and even if it's a potential solution to this risk, we still need to factor in other variables as option B is suggesting. So while A doesn't sound bad, it is quite prescriptive, and therefore the best answer for this question is option B. When a new critical and high impact risk emerges, the project manager's immediate priority is to assess it thoroughly, conduct an urgent qualitative and quantitative risk analysis. B provides the necessary data to understand the full scope of the threat and identify viable solutions or workarounds before making strategic decisions or escalating. So this isn't bad, but it's premature, and A is very, very premature and presumptuous. All right? So let's talk a little bit more about risk management on the PMP exam. Before going into the exam, my friends, it is important that you align your thinking with the 7 processes in risk management. You have to plan risk management. You have to identify risks. You perform a qualitative risk analysis, perform a quantitative risk analysis, then you go into planning risk responses, and then you implement the responses, and then you go into the monitor risk. These are important because if you skip a step, you might be missing something critical that helps you in the overall journey of risk management on the project. So your risk management plan, your risk register, your risk report, make sure you're familiar with that. Make sure you understand the Ishikawa diagram and how you could use that in the world of risk. Also, ensure that you understand your 5 responses to positive risks, right? 5 responses to positive risks or opportunities, and your 5 responses to negative risks or threats. All of these are important, critical for your journey in risk management, and skipping any of these could lead to you getting a question wrong. So you have to mentally go through, have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? When you are good with understanding the what I call A-team, avoid, transfer, escalate, accept, mitigate, and the EASE, EASEE, which is escalate accept, share, enhance, exploit. When you're really good with those, in my mind, what you should be doing next is managing the influence piece of whatever you've decided. So if you've decided a course of action, like a mitigate action that requires movement from other people, then in the implement risk responses, you got to create that traction for action. And also, if you are in the tail end of risk management, let's say you are monitoring the risks, you need to keep on updating the risk register. You need to close out risks. You need to determine if a new risk has emerged, a secondary risk. You need to determine if some of the risk that you addressed still remains, and we call that residual risk. So there's still stuff that you need to do, all right? Even if you feel we've identified all the risks and they're under control, well, things could change very rapidly, right, in risk management. So you are encouraged as a professional going into this exam to leave no stone unturned in all the 6 processes of, or did I say 6, 7? Let's count. Plan, identify, qualitative, quantitative, plan risk responses, implement risk. Yes, so there's 7. So you got to know all those 7. And then going into the world of Agile, you also need to understand that you're not exempt. Okay, in the world of Agile, you're not exempt from risk management. You should be managing risks. You should be proactive. So while risk registers are not explicitly mentioned in the Agile Practice Guide or in Scrum or other Agile frameworks, just know that on this exam, you need to keep your eyes on the risks, right? And even in the real world, it's something that Scrum Masters and Agile people should do. All right, I hope that gave you some insights, because on the exam, you will get questions. Either you're planning how to manage risk, you understand the risk management plan, what is in it, you understand PESTLE, VUCA, and TCOP, those prompts, right, for identifying risks. You understand the place of probability distributions, right? And if these are alien to you, I highly recommend just do a very quick Google or just chat GPT it or Gemini it and ask, what is the impact, or what is the relevance of probability distributions or Monte Carlos in risk management? And then also remember, decision tree analysis is a topic you should at least have some understanding about. So if you haven't looked into decision tree analysis, just Google it. Decision tree analysis, Praizion, the name of this channel, and you'll be able to find a couple of videos I have on YouTube about decision tree analysis, just to understand what it does for you and its relevance. Thanks for joining me today. I wish you all the very best. Smash the like button, subscribe, and you'll be notified when the next video comes out. We got 35 of these videos, and so far this is like number 5 in the episode. So make sure you look for the others. You take care. All the best.